Zhao Shanghao, TB Gradius Algo Procora, Sasa Capo Olus. That was actually Mandarin, Latin, Greek. Good morning. Thanks for your interest. I love you all. Apki interes ka shukriya. Thank you for your interest. I have some topics I would like to discuss with my viewers this morning. First, I would like to discuss very maturely a personal perspective on guns and stuff going on with guns. Again, I am the bird in the tree, so you don't have to agree with anything I'm about to say. But I still have the God-given right to peacefully express my perspective, and that is simply all I am doing. Thank you for your maturity in absorbing my information. To me, speaking to people about their guns is very much so like speaking to people about quitting eating meat. It goes back to an aggression of their own, and I respect you for feeling that way. I'm not judging you. Please hold peace during this conversation. You're allowed to be however you are, and so am I. And when I talk about who I am, I can tell you very directly that I don't own a gun. I don't want to own a gun. I personally don't want to be anywhere near a fucking gun. And I have an understanding that in keeping distance from the desire to have a gun, I may be less protected should I be attacked by someone with a gun. Because obviously, if someone's standing 25 feet away from you or more and they can just shoot you and kill you, you have to be able to defend yourself in some way. However, outside of the gun, if they had another weapon that wasn't really a shooting weapon, well, it's still more or less a matter of that individual defending themselves. But the gun does give you the advantage to be able to be standing far away and to shoot them legitimately. So that's all very true. But then again, if their weapon is not a gun, most other weapons they could have wouldn't really shoot you, so you'd still have an opportunity to defend yourself. I do understand the right to own guns, and I am not saying there should not be guns. You're going to have guns even if I say there's not supposed to be guns, and I know that. Don't think I'm naive to it. However, as a personal perspective, have your guns, and I don't even want to say anything else about it because I know how people feel about it. I can't do anything about it. You're not going to listen to me. But I don't agree with it in the nature and extremity that it's at. Children are being killed all the time within a civilized country. Multiple civilized countries. That means guns and children are too close. Period. And you can't change my mind on that. Another perspective I would like to offer is I do see a great value in reintroducing martial arts as a form of self-protection. When the individual has confidence in themselves to physically defend themselves in a situation when there isn't a gun, well, as long as there isn't a gun, they're comfortable to maturely defend themselves. Martial arts very much so teaches a mature degree of violence. They will all tell you not to use it unless you absolutely have to. And if they're down and you're good, they're down and you're good. You don't have to keep striking them. And that's very mature in a self-defense mindset. And I believe that is completely understood. So if children rediscover the value of martial arts, well, they won't desire to have a gun unless they really need a gun, because they don't rely on the gun for their self-defense. Respectfully, I believe that could be understood and accepted maturely. I think it could be a very useful perspective for the children, and ultimately, regardless what anybody thinks that's seeing anything I'm doing, everything I'm putting online has a very peaceful, loving intent, and all of it is hoping to bring some clarity for the children. The adults live in a circumstance where they just live in that circumstance. And if the adults can't allow the children to make necessary modern changes in any way, well, then the children aren't living modernly as individuals. And I also believe that it is intuitionally understood that if you are living below your conscious level, well, that can be very limiting to you as a human being. It can be very irritating as a human being. It's going to make it harder for you to find peace. You're going to have a much harder time finding peace if you're living below your conscious level. And that is just God's law. So, you want to remain modern. You want the children to remain modern. Thank you for accepting that perspective maturely. I know I say a lot of really sensitive things, but I want to get off that topic. I want to talk to you about language development. My Mandarin keeps getting better. I study every day, and I am aiming at being fluent in Mandarin. Due to the nature in which I learn languages and the fact that I started with English, I do still heavily rely on pinyin for a lot of my Mandarin reading, which obviously doesn't affect my listening skill or my speaking skill, but it does influence my reading skill, which really matters with Mandarin because there's a reason their subtitles are generally on their screen, because they appreciate them too. It's just the nature of the language. But with that said, I would like to reintroduce the concept that I had for the 4 significant languages to the world and how they could be used strategically to help the whole planet eventually become comfortable with being bilingual based on the starting point from here. And I know this is concepts that I feel are way too big for people to do. But at the same time, I still feel like they're good ideas. And if you have position to do something about it, I appreciate your time and energy. I do know that you're very busy individuals. With the language development concepts that I have, the whole purpose of it is to increase maturity in the language development department, because, plain and simple, a majority of the planet is now bilingual to help us all connect. It is very much so true that English is the most spoken, most widespread. And it is also true that Espanol is fulfilling a similar role as English in that it's very widespread and it's commonly used as the second language to help connect people. We do know that language learning is a lot of work generally, and people don't want to do it, and we know why. And we do have some troubles keeping our languages flowing with our children, but not too bad, because again, 2 languages isn't a big deal. And as your child grows up, whatever environment they're in, whether if it's a mother tongue situation or the connecting language situation, it won't really matter. Because when you're bilingual, you did enough to learn 2, and you just have freedom to go anywhere in the world and speak your mother tongue or another language that helps you connect with the locals, logistically and practically. So knowing that language work is a lot of work, and some people have a difficult time absorbing it, we do know that the push has been towards English for a very long time, and thank you all again for learning and respecting the English language and helping us connect our world peacefully. We love you all. And so that means, just due to the situation, English speakers are more likely to be monolingual. And in that, they don't really have to learn another language, because even with knowing English, they can pretty much go anywhere in the world. So they don't technically have to learn another language, and they're not going to really if they don't have to, and that's just being honest. However, in a strategy to help lean the world in that direction, if we were to staple in English as the mother tongue on one side of the world and Spanish as the mother tongue on the other side of the world, due to their modernness and their similarities, Spanish and English people cross languages easy, and they're both really quick modern languages. So people love both of those languages. So if we stamp the second language, one on each side of the world, your mother tongue is still your responsibility for you and your children. And nobody has any responsibility to your mother tongue except you, unless they move into your area, in which case it's just maturely understood that you need to learn the language of the area. So you will know the degree of language that you need. But if we do that, although language work is a lot of work, it's not as much work when you're enjoying it. It's not as hard to enjoy it when it's more fluent. If you're starting with English and just start including Spanish, or if you're all for it, gung-ho into Spanish, creo en ti, I believe in you. But regardless, you could see how with time lapse, English people will be pushed towards Spanish, and Spanish people will be pushed towards English. And no matter what your mother tongue is, you're going to know one of those generally, because your people already do, and that's why I'm able to do this. So you know where your mother tongue and the second language is, and as long as you have the second language, you can go places. And in setting it up in that split way, it will encourage English people to learn more Spanish and encourage more Spanish people to learn more English. And in a very big time lapse, I understand, just speaking openly, what you could see would happen is the English speakers would comfortably enjoy developing Spanish as their second language, and then everybody would be bilingual. And the language maturity would officially be heightened. And if you are interested in language development, it doesn't have to be Spanish, it doesn't have to be English, and your mother tongue may influence which second language you take on. You might also want to consider what languages you have introduced to your area when making the decision of what language to use. Because, like, for example, I love to speak Greek, but I don't have any Greek speakers locally. And so, although I really enjoy it and I know I'm good at it, I don't really focus on it as much. And now that I have a lot of Hindi speakers locally, well, I'm kind of focusing a little more energy on Hindi. I found languages, even if I enjoyed speaking them and I was able to speak them, if I didn't get practical use within my community, it wasn't really the same. But I hope that is a useful perspective in your choice of second language. Thank you for accepting that maturely. Again, these are ideas I don't expect anybody to do, but I do appreciate you absorbing them. And one more thing I want to talk about before I get going for now, and that is conscious eating. If you are interested in my conscious eating plan, I really appreciate your interest in my life's work. And this is what I want to talk about today, is calorie counting. This is a thing. Your honesty really comes into play, and you have to know how to do it correctly. However, if you are able to be honest with yourself and you can be accurate in your numbers, calorie counting will work. It's nature. You're taking in less calories than you're burning off. You're going to lose weight. But when you are calorie counting, like I said, you need to be really honest. I've known some people that have been amazing calorie counters and have had great results with it. And what that offers them is a more comfortable way for them to lose weight if they are not wanting to or not able to exercise as well. So they do understand that they're taking in less than they're burning off, even if they don't burn a lot off, because it's kind of the nature of it. You take in less and you burn more, you're going to lose. And generally, if you take in more calories than you burn, you're going to gain. And ideally, it's around 0 every day. But the ideal scenario exists, but doesn't generally happen. But it's okay, because that's what the balancing is about. And you need to keep it generally by the day, but ultimately know that your body is on 7-day cycles. So you need to think about calorie counting and your calorie quantities generally by the week. You can be thinking that you're calorie counting and doing it all fucking wrong. And then you'll tell people that it doesn't work. And the truth is that you couldn't be honest with yourself or didn't understand how you had to count everything. So I have been through calorie counting. I don't use it now, but I have used it. I know people that have had great success with it. It's very logical. It's very real. So in that it's not really a diet plan, right? It's just consciously eating for yourself. That's included in conscious eating. You're still being conscious in some way. It doesn't have to be the same way as me, but you're still taking care of your health and your body weight. So thank you for taking care of your own health. The way that people mess up on it is they don't understand that you literally have to count everything. So if you have, say you have a piece of whole grain toast with dairy-free butter on it, well, you have to consider the quantity of butter you're putting on so that you can properly count it. And that's the degree that it gets to. And that may be discouraging to you. And if it is, it may not be for you. But I want you to keep in mind that it really is simple math. And you don't really have to be super smart at math to be able to calorie count efficiently for yourself. But again, you have to understand how to do it properly. So you do have to count the quantity of butter and the bread. And if that's all you have, that's okay. And if you had a drink with it, well, if you drink water, obviously there's no calories in water. And thank you for drinking water. By drinking water, you're hydrating your organs and joints and supplying circulatory health to your body. So you're doing good things when you drink water all the time, and clean water is very important to everybody on the planet. However, you might not be drinking water, and whatever it is you're drinking, you have to consider the quantity of that and be very honest in the calories of that. Now, in that, it does sound a little confusing to people that haven't done it, but it's not as hard as it sounds, if it does sound hard to you. What will quickly happen for most people, from my experience, is they will have certain meals that they've already calorie counted, and they know they like, and by using that same meal over and over again, they don't have to count it anymore. They counted it like 10 times. They know how much that meal is. So you could see how if you were dedicated to it, well, you could compile even 6 meals that you know the calories of, and you don't really have to do the math per se and figure it out because you already did. It's not going to change. As long as you keep your quantities the same, well, the calories aren't going to change, and you can depend on the numbers you got originally. So then you don't have to keep doing the math, but you do have to plan out your day to a certain degree. I know that I could give you some suggestions on percentages and numbers and stuff, but it's really best that if you're into that, you do a good amount of research into it before you start. And if you do, you can be very successful with calorie counting. And once your body weight is under control and you have your eating under control in that way, because you're very much so going to need to take control of your overeating and all that, all that stuff, because you're counting calories. You cannot afford those extra cereal bars and stuff. You can pencil in 100 calories for your cereal bar here and there, or maybe even save yourself 200 calories for yourself for some kind of treat through the day. And you're allowed to do that. And it can be basically whatever treat you want, as long as it matches the calories. And that's, now, if you're used to eating something really fucking junky, you may get a portion like this big when you're used to having a portion this big. But by eating the portion this big, you're sticking to your calories and you're doing the right thing for your health. So thank you again for taking good care of your health. I really appreciate everyone's time and consideration. I'm really going to have to get going for now. I don't really know what this day has in store for me, except for pizza. So, in the meantime, comer bien y siéntete bien hoy. Eat good and feel good today. I love you all. Subiko Shante. Devonekitanya Vaderu. And Dio Yotora. Bye for now.